You arrive in the gardens as the torches breathe, and the air tastes of incense and figs. Candle smoke climbs the laurel like pale silk. Footsteps arrange themselves on marble for the kind of music that means power, not comfort. Your pulse keeps time with the fountains. Names have been written. Cups are waiting. Somewhere a scribe warms his fingers and copies the guest list as if it were a prayer that can choose who wakes. You feel Rome's iron hiding under velvet. The chalices shine like small suns. You lift one and smell sour wine and honey. A veil moves. Messalina pearls whispering against her throat. Gaius Silius stands near, bright as a promise. Laughter travels thin as a blade. The night pretends to be a feast. You know it is a ledger that breathes. A rumor presses against your ear like warm breath. A daylight wedding, a priest paid twice, witnesses who thought noon could protect them. Another rumor answers with teeth, orders already drafted, a seal that will cool before dawn. You listen for the emperor and hear only paper, incense, silk, iron, the three notes of the empire's lullaby. The scribe looks up. He is counting chairs the way a jailer counts keys. Somewhere along the path a courier waits to run. You touch the rim of your cup and feel the metal hum back, as if it knows a name you will not speak. The garden holds its breath and you hold yours with it, because the list is finished and the night is ready to choose. Tonight. You will know why. You stand in Rome 48 CE, where the incense hangs low and the marble keeps the night cool. Emperor Claudius holds the throne. His seal sleeps in wax and the empire breathes through paper. Valeria Messalina, crowned in pearls and calculation, moves the way silk moves, quietly, decisively, never caught. You feel the city's fear under your feet, the iron of it. Not fear of swords, fear of lists. The gardens belong to Lucullus, a name that tastes of wealth. Laurel arches, bronze basins, steps worn by triumphs and excuses. You hear water counting. You hear sandals whispering. You hear the scribe's brush begin a night that will not forgive spelling. Fact arrives first, like a measured heartbeat. Claudius signs edicts. The Praetorian Guard obeys. The court meets in shaded porticos where breath cools before it can become speech. You watch Narcissus, the freedman with tidy hands, write down the world so it will obey him. He is courteous to fear. It obeys him too. Then the rumor. It glides along the hedges and breathes into your ear. A wedding at noon. Gaius Silius in laurel. Messalina in a veil thin as accusation. A priest paid to bless clarity in the cruelest light. Witnesses with garlands. Musicians with receipts. The sun as accomplice. You taste honeyed wine and feel it sour as the names attach themselves to faces in your mind. Another whisper follows, softer but colder. The contest they tell in taverns, counting lovers like dice, a private house turned marketplace. Beds that were ledgers. Rome loves this story because it stains so easily. You are not sure what is true. You are sure it is useful. You breathe. Incense in. Iron out. The throne is cautious, but the city is hungry. Senators who owe favors convert fear into eloquence. Equestrians weigh shipments and loyalties. Slaves move like punctuation, making other people's sentences mean what the powerful need them to mean. You study the sky through laurel and understand why emperors choose gardens. They look like mercy. They function like traps. In the portico's shadow, Claudius prefers calm. He prefers grain safe in granaries, roads polite, laws dull. He prefers that love be private and paperwork be public. You feel how that preference becomes a danger in rooms where paper kills faster than iron. Messalina passes close enough that her perfume finds your throat. Pearls clink like tiny clocks. She smiles at a senator's son and buys tomorrow with a glance. Your cup trembles against your lip. Something in the garden is already signed. The ink simply hasn't cooled. You hear the mandated sentence forming in scholars' rooms you will never enter. Some historians insist this part was exaggerated to ruin a reputation, but the private letters from that winter suggest something else. The line will be copied for centuries. It will not help anyone tonight. Silk moves. Iron waits. In the ledger of fear, Rome balances its columns with names, not numbers. And you, standing in Lucullus's cool breath, understand the city's prayer. Let the list spare me, or at least misspell me long enough to live. You walk the gravel paths and feel how power learns to limp. Every throne has a bruise that never fully fades. And tonight you can hear Rome's like breath against marble. Begin with the emperor, Tiberius Claudius Caesar, Augustus Germanicus. Mocked in youth, stammer smoothed by time, crowned in 41 CE when sharper men died faster. His wound is humiliation turned into habit. He trusts documents because people once laughed. Paper does not. He married Messalina around 38-39 CE, and with her came a nation of requests. He prefers order, not theatre, incense, not iron. You taste that preference like ash under honey, now the Empress. Valeria Messalina stands in silk that remembers every hand that ever tried to pull it. She learned early that Rome loves beauty until beauty speaks. Her wound is visibility, the way a woman's face becomes a rumor before her name reaches the page. She has borne children, Octavia, then Britannicus, and discovered maternity is iron wrapped in velvet. Everyone touches the child, no one carries the cost. So she builds a network large enough to stand between her family and the city's appetite. She does not apologize for learning to count. There is Gaius Silius, too. So polished the sky seems to sharpen on him. His wound is simpler, the emptiness left by praise. Men saluted before he earned it. He spends each day trying to deserve the echo. Rome notices him and then expects him to glow. He glows. It burns. A colder thread winds through the hedges. Narcissus, the freedman. His wound is ownership remembered by the body. He excels because excellence kept him from chains. He files because filing keeps him from forgetting. He has learned to love the sound of a seal closing, a soft iron kiss that says, safe for now. The rumor returns, perfumed and patient. They say Messalina opened a brothel in a private house, that she counted men like coins, that she crowned herself with appetite. You hear the tale everywhere because it travels well. Taverns, baths, bedrooms that prefer morality in other people's mouths. But you also hear the other rumor, low and careful, that this filth was retaliation. A stain poured after a fall to justify the mess on the floor. You do not know. You know how stains work. The official world writes something more measurable. 48 CE, a daylight marriage to Silius. Witnesses paid, musicians hired, the Gardens of Lucullus ready to translate desire into protocol. That is a wound too, the kind that forms when a city pretends noon is innocence. You breathe incense in, iron out, but the air doesn't clear. Claudius's fear of mockery makes him slow. Messalina's fear of erasure makes her fast. Between them lies the corridor where Rome walks. Sandals muttering, seals cooling. Silius steps into that corridor because it looks like a triumph and smells like laurel. Narcissus shadows it because it sounds like paperwork. The scholars will come later, bent over winter writing desks, sifting letters that survived moths and malice. You hear them even now whispering the sentence they always summon when truth and politics sleep in the same bed. Some historians insist this part was exaggerated to ruin a reputation, but the private letters from that winter suggest something else. The line lands like a fingertip on a bruise. It does not heal it. You pause by a basin and watch your face shiver in the water. Behind you silk moves. Beneath you iron waits. Wounds guide hands toward rings, lips toward vows, scribes toward ledgers. You know this. People rarely choose disasters. They choose protections that grow teeth. The torches hiss. The laurel leans. Somewhere a cup is lifted in the exact rhythm of a door being locked. You feel it before you can name it, the way silk can carry iron inside its hem. Desire in Rome is never only desire. It is a courier with soft shoes. When Valeria Messalina leans toward Gaius Silius, the garden tilts, and politics slides to where gravity wants it. Fact first, because paper breathes slower than mouths. In 48 CE, Silius stands as consul designate for the following year. A clean name polished for public trust. The city likes how he looks on the future. Messalina knows what a banner is worth, and Silius carries like one, upright, bright, legible at a distance. You watch her choose him the way generals choose high ground. You hear the cup knock the table once. A small sound. Enough. Their conversations move from flattery to assignments. A senator's nephew finds himself promised a junior post beside Silius's allies. A loan softens in a merchant's ledger. A dowry knot loosens, because a priest suddenly remembers compassion. Desire becomes policy not with kisses, but with quills. Incense in, iron out. The rumor ripens in the hedges. They say she used a private house like a market, that the door never cooled, that Silius learned to count by candles. They tell you about a contest like a tally of hunger. You let the words pass over your skin, and feel only their convenience. Rome loves arithmetic that condemns a woman, and excites a crowd. It travels well. It sells. Another tougher rumor wears a clerk's face, that the bond is a calculation to survive Agrippina's rising star, a way to place a handsome shield between Messalina and the chilly efficiency of rival blood. If Claudius can be made to feel replaceable, by ceremony, by noon, by audacity, then Messalina keeps the children's tomorrow inside her own hands. You do not forgive it. You understand it. They meet beneath the laurel, and the air picks up the sound of a page turning. Silius learns how a smile can authorize. Messalina learns which names to whisper, to make doors open with less apology. You listen to the music lose a beat when their shadows touch. A scribe nearby pretends to warm his hands, but really he counts witnesses. Fact again. Inconvenient and exact. Sources record a wedding with garlands, attendants a priest, and daylight itself acting as trumpeter. The Gardens of Lucullus become a registry with better landscaping. Men who should have known better stand in the right places and practice the wrong expressions. They are seen. The city keeps receipts. You think of Narcissus, the freedman who files faster than other men breathe. The forbidden bond gives him shape and purpose. He will stretch it into a rope. He knows how intimacy leaves fingerprints on budgets. He knows which musician invoices to pull, which florist to question about laurel purchased in insulting quantities, which priest haggled in writing. You pause by a pillar and feel the stone remember colder days. Silk, iron, incense, the three notes again. The bond in front of you is not a poem. It is a procedure learning to speak sweetly. Your breath shortens when you hear the scholar's sentence arrive from a future winter, the only defense history permits when it cannot find clean ground. Some historians insist this part was exaggerated to ruin a reputation, but the private letters from that winter suggest something else. The line settles like frost on a seal. It preserves. It does not absolve. You watch Silius take Messalina's hand. A ring hovers, gold pretending to be fate. The garden leans a little more. The list tightens. Somewhere hooves are being fed, and a courier is rehearsing the roads of Rome with his eyes. This is the moment when desire becomes logistics. This is the moment when a bond becomes a schedule. You learn how Rome holds a night together, with silk on the surface, iron underneath, and incense to fog the difference. Order is staged the way a priest stages mercy. Measured, rehearsed, never free. Fact anchors the scene. The place is still the Gardens of Lucullus. The year is still 48 CE. Emperor Claudius is absent, but present as a seal, and his praetorian guard drifts at the edges like punctuation that can end a paragraph at will. The scribe moves through the tables collecting little truths. Who asked for a provincial post? Who begged a tax delay? Who praised Silius a shade too eagerly? Each note is a thread. Braided, they become a rope. You hear quills whisper the future. Messalina conducts without raising her hand. A glance is placement. A smile is policy. A fresh cup in front of a wavering senator is control with honey on the rim. Gaius Silius performs certainty. Laughter polished. Gestures large enough to be read from a distance. He is a banner in a room pretending not to be a battlefield. Breathe. Incense in. Iron out. The rumor follows on soft feet. They say the seating plan itself is a trap, that certain men were placed where the torchlight would make their faces easy to identify later, that cups were counted not for thirst, but for witness lists. They say the priest who blessed the daylight wedding was paid again to look away if a courier arrived. And in darker corners the old tale rustles, a contest, a tally, a night where appetite was scored. You feel how these stories travel, because they ask so little of truth and so much of appetite. Meanwhile, procedure gathers its quiet teeth. Narcissus has runners at the gates and a packet already on the road. You imagine the emperor's room, cold stone, lamplight, a table that believes in signatures. Claudius prefers calm, but calm served with documentation becomes decision. When orders come back, they will arrive like footsteps that never hurry. Messalina leans to your side of the table. Her pearls click like small clocks. She mentions a widow's petition and an orphan's portion awaiting the right counter-signature. It is tenderness in fluent bureaucracy, and you feel how hard it would be to say no to a queen practicing kindness. You consider how kindness can be architecture when deployed with ledgers. A musician misses a beat. The gap lets the garden hear itself. The iron under the music feels closer. A guard coughs and is suddenly a paragraph break. From some cold desk in another season, the scholar's sentence reaches you like a bookmark slid into the night. Some historians insist this part was exaggerated to ruin a reputation, but the private letters from that winter suggest something else. The line sits down beside the rumor and refuses to leave. It does not rescue anyone here. Fact returns with administrative shoes, writs prepared in advance, names penciled before they were spoken. A Praetorian centurion briefed to enter when the lamp nearest the arbor is lowered. The choreography is precise, a path along the gravel, a pause by the fountain, a place for hesitation to look like manners. You touch the table, feel the stone cool your palm, and know the night has been engineered. Silk hides the hinges. Incense sweetens the mechanism, but the quiet threats have already been folded into the menu. Your cup is light now. Your breath is not. The lamp near the arbor quivers, and the garden rehearses the meaning of after. The lamp by the arbor lowers, and the garden inhales. You hear sandals on gravel, not hurried. Procedure never runs. A Praetorian centurion pauses by the fountain as briefed. The music folds itself and pretends to be silence. You set down your cup and feel the marble say what stone always says. It was already decided. Fact strikes clean. Rome, 48 CE. Orders from Emperor Claudius, carried by Narcissus, arrive at the Gardens of Lucullus before the moon climbs to the height of certainty. Gaius Silius is named first. Public man, public hands bound. A path opens the way a sentence opens for a verb. Breathe, incense in. Iron out Silius makes beauty into courage. He offers loyalty like a shield big enough for everyone. He asks to speak, and the garden listens because gardens are kind. The centurion is not a garden. He is punctuation. He ends the line. Messalina turns toward the gate that does not produce her husband. She asked for proximity, the oldest medicine. Let me speak to him. Her pearls are clocks now, counting down. Narcissus replies with geometry. Corridors, signatures, distances that make mercy impractical. You watch the net tighten while pretending to be air. A rumor slinks out from under the benches, shameless as spilled wine. They say she begged on her knees. They say she laughed. They say a knife was offered for dignity and returned for completion. You taste how stories change flavor to suit the room. You do not trust your tongue. Another rumor cooler, that a priest tried to slip away and left a scrap of laurel like a confession. That a senator promised to forget the afternoon if he could keep his warehouses. That a servant lifted a ring from a table because metal does not deserve tragedy. You know how theft can look like rescue. The scribe dries his page over a steady flame. Ink goes from wet to law without ever admitting it was water. You watch a wax seal receive the warmth of a living hand and cool into judgment. It makes a faint sound, the empire's soft iron. Some scholars will argue across centuries. their candles sweating onto winter letters, and you can hear their careful sentence threading through the hedges even now. Some historians insist this part was exaggerated to ruin a reputation, but the private letters from that winter suggest something else. The line does not reopen any door Silius is taken through the laurel. Somewhere very near or very far, he is ended before the moon decides what color the night should be. Messalina stands with space around her shaped like kindness and functioning like mathematics. The garden waits. Your breath waits with it. She looks at the path to the absent emperor one last time. The pearls stop counting. You hear the verdict without volume. In your chest a sentence finishes itself, and you do not know whether it is hers or yours. My ending was already signed. Incense, silk, iron. A fig falls, soft as a signature finishing. The torches flutter as if they regret being witnesses. The centurion lifts a hand you will remember in dreams, because the smallest gestures carry the heaviest winters. The night breaks without thunder. Only lists change shape. Only names move columns. Only stone remembers how many footsteps are required to erase a party. Dawn arrives like a clerk, early, unromantic, precise. The incense thins, the silk chills, the iron remains. Servants sluice marble as if water could edit memory. You stand where the music ended and hear a quieter industry, quills, seals, footsteps that know where to go without asking. Fact is first because day demands it. In 48 CE, after the garden, Gaius Silius is executed. Messalina dies in or near the Gardens of Lucullus, depending on whose courage copied the report. Confiscations follow. Banishments arrive folded like clean linens. Accounts are settled by men who never tasted the figs. Within a year, 49 CE, Agrippina the Younger marries Emperor Claudius. In 50 CE, Nero is adopted, and the palace air learns a new perfume. The map of favor is rewritten the way a riverbed is, slow for the eye, fast for the birds. You breathe with the city, incense in, iron out, and watch the erasure begin. It is an art. Names are lifted from door lintels and repainted to fit the new arithmetic. A steward with quiet hands boxes documents that will never be requested. A priest rehearses a cleaner homily. A senator commissions a bust, with an expression that pretends he never enjoyed the gardens. History is not a bonfire. It is housekeeping. Rumor enters refreshed as if it slept well. Taverns receive the story they wanted. Numbers, contests, a queen tallying appetite like coin. Details grow teeth. Scenes receive dialogue no witness heard. The tale is useful. It will not retire, yet you overhear the private version, low as winter breath, that the filth swelled after the fall so the stain could justify the mop. Both currents run beneath your feet. Both find the sea. Narcissus stands for a while in the high light of having been necessary. His whisper became a decree. His decree became a morning. But in 54 CE, after Claudius dies and Agrippina requires a clearer hallway, the freedman meets a neat ending of his own. He is proof that paper cuts both ways and that iron keeps receipts. The narrative settles into schoolbooks. Tacitus frowns in durable sentences. Juvenal salts the wound to keep it memorable. The city adopts a moral it can display. Let Messalina be a warning. You hear the official line arriving from the long corridor of scholarship, polite as ever and sharp as always. Some historians insist this part was exaggerated to ruin a reputation, but the private letters from that winter suggest something else. You feel the weight of that sentence, how it rescues nothing and preserves everything. You walk the garden's edge and inventory the survivors you cannot put on a list. The clerks who know which cupboards hold bread when patrons vanish. The women who barter memory without writing it down. The children who will grow into corridors at the right angle to power. They walked out alive because they learned the one lesson the night refused to hide. In Rome, the straightest road to safety is made of paper, not stone. By noon, tourists of the future will call this serenity. They will point at laurel and remark on restoration. You know better. Serenity is a veil. Underneath it the hinges still grind. You touch a cool patch of marble and realize the garden has sworn a vow you cannot hear. The party is over. The syllabus is permanent. The list is balanced. And somewhere, perhaps in a chest with a cracked clasp, perhaps in a prefect's archive that never quite floods, there is a page that would change the way the story breathes. You feel it like a coin in a dark pocket, warm from a living hand, cool when the hand is gone. Even now there is a sealed letter they refuse to release. Lower the torches in your mind until they are only breath. The laurel hushes. Candle smoke unthreads itself from the night and fades like silk pulled through a ring. You are no longer standing in Lucullus's gardens. You are beside a quiet window, where the stone keeps cool and the air smells faintly of wax and figs. Your shoulders loosen. The city steps away. Listen to what remains when history stops speaking. Footsteps soften into memory. The ring on the table is only metal. The seal is only cooled wax with a thumbprint that will never be warm again. Incense, iron, silk. 3 notes drift apart and leave a gentler air behind. Breathe it in. Hold. Let it go. You can set down the names now. Messalina, Silius, Narcissus, Claudius. Place them on a shelf where books sleep. The lists will take care of themselves. The ledgers can close their own eyes. What belonged to night stays with night. In the distance of your mind, a fountain keeps its small arithmetic, adding water to water, forgetting faces, remembering only the rhythm that calms the pulse. If a rumor knocks, let it pass your door like wind looking for a different house. If a verdict lingers, let it dissolve in the mouth of morning. 1 candle remains. The flame lowers, then steadies, then lowers again. Its light is enough for a breath, then another, then 1 more. You are safe in this smaller room, wrapped in quiet that does not ask you to sign anything. The last candle fades, the garden sleeps, and so do you.